It was a cold October evening at Blackwood High School. Most of the students had already gone home, and the long hallways were silent. Rain tapped against the windows while 16-year-old Ethan packed his books into his backpack. As he was about to leave, he noticed something strange. The old clock in the hallway had stopped exactly at 6:13 p.m., and every light on the third floor suddenly turned on by themselves. Ethan frowned. The third floor had been closed for years after a mysterious accident. No student was allowed to go there. Suddenly, he heard a faint sound from upstairs. It sounded like footsteps. Slow, heavy footsteps. Someone was walking on the third floor, even though the school was supposed to be completely empty. Curiosity slowly overcame Ethan's fear. He climbed the stairs one step at a time. The air became colder with every step. When he reached the third floor, he froze. The hallway lights were flickering, and every classroom door was open. At the very end of the corridor stood a girl wearing an old school uniform. The girl stood perfectly still. Her long black hair covered most of her face. She looked like a student from another time. Ethan opened his mouth to speak, but before he could say a word, she slowly lifted one hand and pointed toward classroom 13. Then she disappeared. Ethan's heart pounded inside his chest. At the end of the hallway stood classroom 13. The old wooden door was slightly open, and a dim light glowed inside. Then he heard it. A soft whisper came from the room. A voice quietly said, "I've been waiting for you." Ethan slowly pushed the door of classroom 13. It creaked loudly, as if the school itself was warning him to stop. Inside, the room was covered in dust. Chairs were overturned, and the air smelled old and cold. On the blackboard, fresh writing appeared by itself. "You finally came." Suddenly, the classroom door slammed shut behind him. Ethan turned around quickly, but the door had no handle anymore. Panic rose in his chest as the lights flickered above him. Then he heard soft laughter coming from every corner of the room at once. Ethan noticed something strange on the student desks. Names were carved into the wood, but one name kept repeating everywhere. Sophie. The same name appeared on every desk, scratched deeply as if someone was trying to erase it, but it kept coming back. A cold wind suddenly blew through the closed classroom. Papers flew into the air even though no windows were open. Ethan stepped back as one of the papers slowly floated toward him. On it was a picture of a smiling girl wearing the same uniform as the ghost he saw earlier. The lights suddenly went out completely. Darkness filled the classroom. Ethan could hear his own breathing getting louder. Then, from behind him, a whisper came very close to his ear. "Don't turn around!" But Ethan turned anyway. Nothing was there, just empty darkness. He slowly turned back, and that's when he saw it. A pale figure standing right in front of the blackboard, closer than before, staring directly at him. The ghost girl slowly raised her hand and pointed at Ethan. Her voice echoed inside his mind, not the room. "You should not have opened this classroom." The blackboard behind her began filling with blood-red writing. Ethan stepped backward as the writing on the blackboard started moving like it was alive. The name Sophie slowly disappeared and was replaced with a new message. "Find the truth or stay forever." Suddenly, Ethan saw flashes of images inside his mind. Students screaming, a storm outside, and a girl standing alone in classroom 13. Then everything went silent again, like the school was hiding something dark. A locker inside the classroom suddenly opened by itself. Inside was an old school diary covered in dust. The diary slowly flipped open to a page that read, "They never left this room." Ethan picked up the diary with shaking hands. As soon as he touched it, the classroom door behind him disappeared completely. There was no exit anymore. A whisper filled the room again. This time it wasn't just one voice, it was dozens of students speaking at once, repeating the same sentence. "We are still here." The ghost girl appeared again, but this time she looked different. Her eyes were filled with tears. She slowly said, "I didn't want them to die. I tried to stop it." The diary pages began turning faster and faster. Ethan saw the truth written inside. A school experiment had gone wrong years ago, trapping souls inside classroom 13 forever. Suddenly, everything shook violently. The lights exploded above them. The ghost girl screamed, "Get out before it closes again!" The entire classroom began to shake violently as cracks appeared on the walls. Ethan grabbed the diary tightly while the ghost girl stood frozen, as if something powerful was controlling the room. Ethan opened the diary again, and suddenly a map of the school appeared inside it. A hidden basement under classroom 13 was marked in red ink. The truth was below them all along. The ghost girl whispered urgently, "They locked it down there. The experiment never ended." Her voice was filled with fear instead of anger for the first time. Suddenly, the floor beneath Ethan cracked open. A cold wind came from below, as if something was breathing from deep underground. Ethan made a decision. He jumped down into the darkness below classroom 13. The moment he landed, the door above him disappeared completely. The basement was filled with old broken machines and glowing test tubes. This was not a classroom anymore, it was a secret laboratory. On the walls, Ethan saw names written everywhere, hundreds of students, all marked as lost during experiment. The ghost girl appeared beside him again. She pointed at a broken machine and said, "This is what trapped us here forever." Ethan realized the truth. The school experiment had tried to control human memory, but instead it trapped souls inside the building forever. Suddenly, alarms started ringing in the basement. A deep voice echoed, "Containment breach detected. All subjects will be reset." The basement alarms grew louder as the entire structure began to collapse. Ethan and the ghost girl ran through the glowing tunnels while the system voice repeated, "Reset process starting in 60 seconds." The ghost girl suddenly stopped. She turned to Ethan and said, "If the system resets, I will disappear forever. But you still have a chance to escape." Ethan refused to leave her behind. He grabbed her hand, but the moment he touched her, her body started dissolving into light. With seconds left, Ethan ran toward the emergency exit marked in the diary map. Behind him, the entire basement began collapsing into darkness. Ethan burst out of the school just as everything exploded behind him in silence. The next morning, Blackwood High School was gone. Only an empty field remained. But sometimes, students say that at night, a faint whisper can still be heard. "We are still here."